Red Bull's golden boy, Max Verstappen, isn't happy with the team. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Verstappen expressed his frustration with the team's reliability issues, stating that they needed to do better while also emphasizing the importance of consistency in order to have a chance at winning the championship. But now he has another thing to worry about. Sergio Perez wants to be a champion, and he has the support of the team. So stay tuned and we'll let you know more. We all remember the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, right? And what happened between the teammates? They don't exactly share a bromance like that of Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. They just get along well enough as colleagues. Even though we hoped for a closer bond between the two, it ain't gonna happen. Especially after, all that has been happening. And we know that Max isn't one to let grudges go easily. Just ask Perez what happened to the second position of the Driver Championship and why it slipped out of his grasp when he almost had it. And I'm pretty sure that answer is going to have the name Verstappen somewhere in it. Last year, during the Brazilian Grand Prix, the team allowed Max to overtake Perez, who was not driving faster than Max. The agreement was that if Max was not able to overtake Fernando Alonso and Charles, Perez would reclaim the position. At least that's what Perez thought. It happened that Max was not able to make passes at Alonso, and when he was asked to give back the track position to Perez, he turned him down. He said to his race engineer that they already talked about it and that it was absurd to make such a request. The tone was not that of a pleased man. Max was well aware that he'd be asked to give back the position when he failed to overtake Alonso, so why play along when he knew full well he wouldn't be complying with the team's orders? Allegedly, Max was exacting revenge for what Perez had done to him in Monaco. Because that's a healthy mentality for someone you're supposed to be kind of teammates with. Revenge. Anyways, in quarter 3, Perez intentionally hit the barriers of the Monaco street circuit to hinder Max, who was on the final flying lap, from qualifying higher than him. In Monaco, overtaking's not the easiest, so if Perez started ahead of Max, he would have likely finished ahead of him. And he did. Perez won that race, and that was one of 2 that he won last year. Now come to Jeddah this year. Both cars had been experiencing some issues, Max with his drive shaft and Perez with the brakes, and had therefore been instructed to stick to a lap time of 1 minute and 33 seconds. Max was not interested. He repeatedly failed to acknowledge the requests by the team by giving his race engineer the now common silent treatment, and proceeded to clock in lap times of 1 minute and 22.6 seconds. With 5 laps to go, he inquired about the fastest lap, which was 1 minute and 31.1 seconds. Despite the team communicating that it wasn't a concern at the time, Max gave it a go on the final lap and was able to take the point from Perez. This one point made sure that he had retained his lead in the Drivers' Championship at the time. On the other end, Perez didn't like it either. When the team's orders to slow down were given, his first response was to ask what Max's lap time was. And upon hearing that Max was not slowing down, he questioned the team's decisions. He refused to slow down, as doing so would have allowed Max to catch up and possibly gain the lead. Perez was furious upon finding out that Max had the fastest lap after the race and expressed his dissatisfaction with the team, pointing out that he had been given incorrect communications, which would have been that Max was told to stand down and not try for the fastest lap. From his reaction, we could tell that Perez was no longer going to stand down and be treated as a second driver. The Mexican now wants fair and equal treatment from the team. Perez, who's desperate for a championship and has seen the potential of the RB19, made it clear that he was no longer going to comply with the orders from the favored Verstappen. He continued by calling out to the team, claiming that they were a one-car operation. Here's what he said. Certainly when I came to the team, things were very different. Basically, they were just going racing with 2 cars because they had to, said Perez. And it's not uncommon for teams to have a favorite driver in their lineup. Remember Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, and Valtteri Bottas? Well, the priority driver was Lewis, and on many occasions we would hear the common request to Bottas. Valtteri, it's James. Neither the race engineer nor the strategy chief needed to add anything else. These 3 words were sufficient for Bottas to realize that he either needed to let Lewis pass or scale back his attacks on Lewis. So why was Perez acting like it was something new and whining like he didn't know what he had got himself into when he accepted the role and signed the contract with Red Bull? My thought was accountability. Thanks to his very vocal approach to it, he forced a response out of the team principal. Something I feel like he'll constantly be referring to and reminding the team of. Christian Horner, who was shocked to learn how Perez felt, strongly refuted the claims made by Perez. He said that this was the first time that he had ever heard Perez say that, and he added this. We've always run on 2 cars since we've entered the sport in 2005, and we always want to have the best 2 drivers that we can in the car. And I think it's great to see Checo doing a great job right now. Jos Verstappen, Max's father, was not likely to be delighted with Horner's response. Joss's dejected expression when Perez won the race demonstrated how unhappy he was with the outcome of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Many expressed their disappointment with Joss and compared the situation to the Mexican Grand Prix, where, unlike Joss, Sergio's father was spotted celebrating with both Max and Perez. Max had won the race and Perez was second. Joss had previously criticized the team for how they handled the Monaco Grand Prix last year, during which Perez qualified ahead of Max. According to Joss, Max would have won the race had the team adopted a strategy that favored him. Horner, who asserted that the team was not Max Verstappen racing, didn't take kindly to Joss's expectation that Red Bull would just give Max top priority. Heading into the Australian Grand Prix, Perez commented, "I can say now that I really feel part of the team. I really feel like I have my place well respected. And I think that's something good to have as a driver. I really believe that I have the full support of the team as much as Max does, and that I have every single opportunity to win the championship as much as Max." And that's the one reason why Max should be worried. This year's fight for the championship seems to be between the two Red Bull drivers, since no other team has actually brought a worthy car challenging of the RB19, And our understanding, as of now, is that the two are allowed to race each other. What this means is that any assistance that Max might be expecting from Perez might not be provided, which makes room for a ferocious duel between the two drivers, and occasionally it results in the two colliding. Here's an illustration: the Sebastian Vettel versus Mark Webber and Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg rivalries. Hamilton and Rosberg were teammates at Mercedes from 2013 to 16, during which they both won the Drivers' Championship. Their relationship started off as friendly, but tensions began to rise as they battled for the championship in 2014. The rivalry reached its peak in 2016 when the two drivers were involved in several on-track incidents, including a collision at the Spanish Grand Prix that ended both of their races. Rosberg ultimately won the championship that year, but the rivalry between the two drivers contributed to a tense atmosphere within the team. On the other hand, Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber didn't get along because Vettel thought Red Bull Racing favored him. Vettel and Webber were teammates at Red Bull Racing from 2009 to 2013. The two drivers had several on-track clashes, including a collision at the 2010 Turkish Grand Prix, that cost Red Bull Racing a 1-2 finish. Horner definitely doesn't want that happening again. Everybody's looking out for themselves, and Horner can only hope that his words remain true. We always want to have the best two drivers that we can in a car. As a team, we've always strived to give both drivers the best opportunity and the best equipment that we can. And then it's down to what they do on the track. We got two great drivers, Max and Sergio, and there's a healthy respect between the two of them, and I expect that to continue, said Horner. It remains to be seen whether Red Bull will prioritize one driver over the other, or if they'll continue to let him race freely. Regardless, it's clear that both Max and Perez have the potential to win the championship this year. Share with us your thoughts on how you expect the dynamics between the two to play out on the track. That's it for today, guys. Award us with a like if you liked the video. Make sure to end your viewing in style by hitting that subscribe button for more amazing F1 content. And until next time, cheers.